Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. In this video, I'm going to reflect somewhat of my reading year in 2025, and also we will determine my favorite book of the year, tournament style. So what I enjoy doing is taking a list of my top rated books, I pit them against each other, I don't have a lot of time to think about who's the winner, and then eventually we will crown a champion. In 2025, I actually did not hit my numerical reading goal. I was about 10 underneath. My goal was 75 and I read 65 books. That's okay. In the summer, I read a lot less than normal, but I was working on a different project and I never want to force reading or read something because I feel like I have to. This is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun and enjoyable and at times challenging, but it's still a hobby. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that I don't typically do 5-star style ratings for every book, but when I log them in my reading journal, I do make a quick notation at 1 out of 5 stars. Did I enjoy it or not? So these are some of my 4, 4.5, and 5-star reads. I selected 16 of them. We'll do a couple rounds to get to the winner. As I pull these names from the jar, we're going to be, what does the heart say? And then as we get towards our finalists, we'll spend a little bit more time talking about each book. So the first book for round 1, Jova's Angels versus The Incandescent. I think I'm going to go with Jova's Angels. Paladin of Souls versus The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. I'm actually going to pick The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. Fox Mask versus The Spy Master's Lady, Fox Mask. Dungeon Crawler Carl versus To Shape a Dragon's Breath, Dungeon Crawler Carl. The Bronze Horseman versus The Crystal Cave, Bronze Horseman. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell versus Grave Empire. That one is kind of hard. I think Grave Empire. A Curious Beginning versus Catabasis, A Curious Beginning. Last book for this round. Hold on a second. Okay, somehow I had the same book on the list twice, which is wrong, but also convenient because this is one that I would love to save anyway. It's Paladin of Souls again versus Witch Roads. Let's forget that that happened, but I'm gonna go with Paladin of Souls for this one. That was actually accidentally lucky because the fun thing about doing this so randomly in the tournament style is that each of the books are so different and I may like them for different reasons, and it's sometimes like really hard to pick between different aspects of these books. Speaking of Witch Road is not going to go to the next round, but one thing I forgot to mention in my earlier kind of summary of the year, last year in 2025 was the first year that I did an author interview, and I was able to sit down and talk with Kate Elliott for a little bit over an hour, which was amazing because she's one of my favorite authors, and I just never expected that would be something that I would get to do. It was very intimidating and scary, but I want to continue looking for opportunities to do things like that in the future. I'm just proud of myself for actually sending her the email and doing it. Okay, on to round 2. I put the winners back in the jar, but they're now kind of unfurled. This is where it starts getting pretty painful. Grave Empire versus Jova's Angels. Jova's Angels. Dungeon Crawler Carl versus A Curious Beginning. A Curious Beginning. The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy versus Fox Mask, Fox Mask. Our last books in this round. Paladin of Souls versus The Bronze Horseman, The Bronze Horseman. Okay, we're down to the final 4. I know this isn't a formal bracket, but we'll do a couple more rounds. Bronze Horseman versus Fox Mask. This is painful. I'm going to go with Bronze Horseman. Okay. When we get down to these, we know that I have them on my bookshelf because I loved them. So Bronze Horseman is by Paula Simons. It is a historical romance really centering the war, beginning of World War II, set in Russia. So it's set in Stalingrad, following our two main characters, one of which is a soldier protecting the city, and another is a woman who lives in the city. The events in the first part of the story, trying to make it through the siege, and then beyond. And what I admire a lot about this book is the character growth within it, especially because our main character starts out quite naive, and by the end of all of the stuff that they go through, she has such perseverance. She becomes very quick thinking, very thrifty, knows how to survive. And the relationship between the two main characters in this book is something that like helps them survive. So this book also focuses a bit on kind of the family life. There's a family drama aspect to this book, which wasn't my very favorite, but was very necessary towards the character building. And this is one that, I mean, look how thick it is, but I didn't want to put it down while I was reading it, despite the darkness of the contents, because the author does get into the history and what happened in this portion of the war. So just despite how it's like, how is anything ever going to be okay again? The author did such a great job with the writing, getting me connected to the characters. This is a book that I still think about pretty frequently because it's the first book in a trilogy. Can be read self-contained, but when you get to the end of this one, you want to keep going. And I've just been giving myself like a moment to breathe before going to the next one, but I will be continuing. And I feel like I can't do it justice. Like, this book was really good at making you feel all of the things. And if you like history as well, I think very well done from that aspect. And Fox Mask by Juliet Marillier, which the Bronze Horseman just knocked out, but at this point, this is the second book in a duology, which is one of the reasons why I let it go just underneath the Bronze Horseman. It's concluding a story that begins with Wolfskin, which was, I think, my top book in 2024, if I remember correctly. This duology is one that I can't believe I waited so long to finally pick up. If you're a fan of this author, I really recommend picking up Wolfskin. The next bracket, A Curious Beginning versus Jova's Angel. That has to go to A Curious Beginning, which is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series. So a mystery is actually winning those. I read several of them in conjunction this summer. It was great to be reading mystery while I was writing a fantasy. The series follows a lepidopterist named Veronica Speedwell, who is somewhat of a spinster naturalist. In this book, she gets thrust into a murder investigation when someone with close family ties comes to her and tells her that she is in danger and he needs to protect her, and takes her to a friend, a place of safety, and then winds up dead. So Veronica and this friend end up trying to figure out who killed this man before the friend takes the blame for it. They're both naturalists. She's a lepidopterist. He is a taxidermist. They both have really interesting histories. The overall setup for the series is that it's the late 1800s in England, so it's, I think, Victorian era, and they are uncovering plots that may or may not be loosely connected, and I just found this series charming. The plot line and the characterizations did not go where I expected them to go. It's mystery with some thriller aspects to it. The historical setting, the main characters make me laugh. I love their interactions, and I read like half the series already. You know what that means though? That means for the tournament, it's between the Bronze Horseman and A Curious Beginning. And they're so vastly different. And for someone who reads mostly fantasy, one is a mystery and one is historical romance, I think I'm going to pick the Bronze Horseman just based on like the profound impact it had on me while reading it and afterwards. I really did not expect this at all, but this is how the tournament shook out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found this a fun, if slightly chaotic, version of a top books from the year. Any of the ones I listed today I very much enjoyed and would recommend. Please tell me what your favorite book of the year was. Was it something unexpected like this? I did not see this book coming. Again, thank you so much. I hope you're having a great start to 2026. And as always, don't forget to support your local library. Thanks. Bye.